Okay.
We keep it close to you.
So, good morning, everyone. It's truly an honor to stand before you today and present a topic that lies at the very heart of our human quest for meaning, the quest for cosmology. The topic which I'm going to discuss today is a journey, a philosophical exploration that seeks to bridge the widening gap between science, metaphysics, and ethics, three vital dimensions of human understanding. We are living in an age of scientific marvel, right? Telescopes are peering into the depths of the cosmos. Quantum theory is reshaping our understanding of matter and energy, and artificial intelligence is revolutionizing our engagement with the world. Yet, in the midst of this dazzling scientific advancement, a profound question lingers. Is our scientific understanding of the universe complete? I would like to argue, and this paper substantiates that it is not. Science, for all its power and precision, falls short in addressing fundamental, certain fundamental questions. Questions like what is the nature of existence, what is the purpose of life, what is consciousness, and what ultimately is our place in the universe. These are metaphysical questions and ethical questions, and they cannot be answered through the language of mathematics or empirical observations alone. That is why this research paper puts forth a cosmological framework that integrates the insights of modern science with the depth of metaphysics and the guidance of ethics. In this exploration, I draw deeply from the wellsprings of Indian philosophical tradition, particularly from Vedanta metaphysics and Buddhist ethics, to develop a more comprehensive and humanly relevant model of cosmology. Let me begin by acknowledging the immense contribution of modern science. Cosmology is a field of study and inquiry that has been widely recognized by modern world. Scientific reasoning based on facts, statistics, and empirical evidence offers a more reasonable framework for understanding all that exists. The field has developed various theories to elucidate the essence and origin of the cosmos. One of the most prominent is the Big Bang theory, which posits that the universe originated as a dense, heated, and infinitely small point that rapidly expanded and continued to expand for 13.7 billion years. This theory is marked by four primary epochs: the Planck epoch, the inflation epoch, the cooling epoch, and the structural epoch. The Big Bang theory was substantiated by various scientific observations, such as the Hubble law, microwave background radiation, and various other theories and observations. Another theory, that is the steady state theory, states that the universe maintains a constant density as new matter is continuously produced to cover gaps in expansion, implying that the universe is eternally unchanged. Many other theories, like the eternal inflation theory and oscillating universe theory, attempt to explain the origin and diverse phenomena of the world. However, some significant questions arise. Can theories like that of Bang advocating an ex nihilo model of creation be logically sound? Are modern scientific theories comprehensive enough to explain non-physical phenomena like consciousness? Can systems like modern science provide a unified explanation? These were the three fundamental concerns regarding scientific theory, regarding the limitations of scientific theory. Modern science implies that the cosmos was created abruptly and randomly out of nothing, which is absurd and conflicts with the notion of causality. Even in our observational reality, the universe adheres to the law of causality, as a small sapling necessitates a seed to exist. Furthermore, can the cosmos be fully comprehended by the means of solely physical principles? Does the world containing consciousness at its Fourth, be fully defined in terms of unconscious principles. Scientists like Roger Penrose have raised concerns about the inability of science to explain consciousness, as it involves non-algorithmic processes and is beyond the realm of physical science. While modern science has made outstanding advancement in understanding biological and physiological mysteries, it has not been able to explain consciousness. No physical law can govern the origin and loss of consciousness, which lies at the root of all cosmological existence. Scientific approaches to cosmology often contradict each other, as philosophers Karl Popper and Thomas Kuhn have argued. Popper posits that scientific theories can only be falsified and cannot be definitively proved, implying that they can only be advanced through falsification. Kuhn also expressed a similar perspective through his concept of paradigm shift, which suggests that scientific progress is not cumulative but rather the result of paradigm shift. This prioritization of falsification over confirmation has significantly restricted the scientific method, and scientific cosmology is no exception. The falsification method employed by the discipline is a cause for significant concern in terms of its value in true production of knowledge. To address these constraints, a metaphysical explanation marked by coherent and all-encompassing concept could be offered. Vedant philosophy, which is based on strong metaphysical foundation, could offer a possible helping hand in finding the required support. Vedant cosmology is predominantly rooted in the teachings of the Upanishads, which emphasize the idea of an all-pervading absolute known as Brahman as the ultimate principle from which all, including the universe, emerge. The Upanishads did not provide a clear explanation of the nature of this causal relationship, and many prominent scholars like Badrayan who did not attempt to illuminate this actual method by which Brahman accomplishes this. This ambiguity led to the emergence of various schools of Vedant philosophy, each interpreting the relationship in its own unique manner. One prominent example is of Shankaracharya, the foremost and one of the most influential scholar of Advait system, who elucidates the relationship through the doctrine of avidya. He declared that the world of phenomena is a phantasm and lacks any true existence, arguing that the transformation of Brahman into world is analogous to the transformation of a rope into a serpent, which is the result of a false perception or maya in Vedantic terms. In Indian tradition, this theory of evident change of cause in effect was referred to as Vivartavad, which eventually evolved to known as Brahma Vivartavad. Ramanus, which is who is another prominent scholar of the Vedanta system, rejected this illusionary explanation of the world and instead advocated for the theory of Vishishtadvait or qualified non-dualism. He believed that Brahman, the soul reality, is a synthetic whole consisting of soul and matter as its attribute, that is chit and achit as its attribute. The two attributes of Brahman have cyclic state of existence, with the first state being the state of Karana Avastha, where Chit and Achit remain unmanifested in Brahman, and in the second state, which is the state of Karya Avastha, Brahman manifests the two attributes, leading to the creation of the world. This relationship between Brahman and Chit and Achit as substance and attribute is termed as Apritak Siddhi and is central to Ramanuja's philosophy. The Vedanta philosophy follows a cyclical process of world formation, ensuring that the universe is never entirely created or annihilated. Creation and destruction are merely manifested and unmanifested state of the single absolute reality, the Brahman. The system examines the entire process, from the creation of the world to its annihilation. The initial element to emerge in a new cycle of creation is Akash or is space, which originates from Brahman. The four material components of the world, air, fire, water, and earth, are generated from the primordial element Akash. The Taittiriya Upanishad outlines the order in which these material constituents were created. It says, Tasmatva itasmat mana akasha sambhuta akash dvayo vayora agni rapa adhyay prithvi. That is, from the Brahman comes the Akash, from Akash comes out the Vayu or the air, from the Vayu fire comes, and from fire water, and eventually from water comes out the earth. The Vedantic tradition also acknowledges another principal element, Pran, which is derived from Brahman and is the primary vital force that sustains the cosmos and all living things. Pran operates on Akash, animating the process of creation. Integrating science and metaphysics can offer a better explanation of the world, as cosmology could incorporate the notion of an existed all conscious Brahman as espoused by the Vedanta system. Brahman serves as both the source and substance of creation, effectively replacing the nothingness principle of modern cosmology. Additionally, Brahman as a conscious principle establishes consciousness as the very essence of existence, eliminating the problem of an unconscious principle being the source of the conscious world. Advocating the same perspective, Vivekananda also asserted in one of his lectures known as the Cosmos, the Macrocosm. I have the lecture was quite long enough, but I have here summarized it because due to the constraints of time. Vivekananda asserts that the concept of evolution is a fundamental aspect of modern philosophy, as it suggests that the universe cannot be created out of nothing. The cause is the same as the effect, and the effect is only the cause in another form. The universe has been created from a preceding fine universe, which is precursor to man. The tree, for example, was produced from the seed, which is the fine form from which the big tree comes. The universe exists in a minute form, and when it reaches its limits, it goes back further and further, becoming finer and finer again. This coming out of the fine and becoming broad, simply changing arrangement into parts, is what we call evolution. But we have to necessarily recognize one basic idea that every evolution is preceded by involution. We then see that nothing can be created out of nothing, and everything exists through eternity. The movement is in succeeding waves and follows, going back to fine forms and coming out into gross manifestation. This involution and evolution is happening throughout nature, with the series of evolution beginning with the lowest manifestation of life and reaching up to the highest, the most perfect man, being the evolution of something else. The question arises, what was involved? God. The evolutionists argue that the idea of God is wrong because it is intelligent. But we find that intelligence developed much later in the course of evolution. Intelligence is found in man and higher animals, but millions of years have passed before it came. But this objection of the evolutionists does not hold good. The protoplasm was the evolution of the highest intelligence, which unfolds itself until it becomes manifested in the most perfect manner. This involved intelligence is what is unfolding itself until it becomes manifested in the most perfect manner. This is mathematically demonstrated by the law of conservation of energy, which states that the amount of work in a machine is the same as what is put into it. If one particle of matter or one pound of force cannot be added in the economy of the universe, then what is this intelligence? If it was not present in the protoplasm, it must have come suddenly something coming out of nothing, which is absurd. Therefore, the perfect man, the free man, the God man, who has gone beyond the laws of nature and transcended everything, who has no more to go through the process of evolution to birth and death, is involved in the cell of the protoplasm. At the other end of the at the other end of the chain of evolution. Applying this reason to the whole of universe, we see that intelligence must be the lord of creation, the cause. The most evolved notion that man has of the universe is intelligence, the adjustment of part to part, and the display of intelligence. The ancient design theory was an attempt at expression of this intelligence. The sum total of the intelligence displayed in the universe must be the involved universal intelligence unfolding itself, which we call God. Vivekananda possessed that every evolution is preceded by involution, and the scientific process of the world requires the involution of eternal consciousness, known as the Brahman or in the Vedantic system. The law of conservation of energy necessitates the presence of a conscious principle at the onset of the origin, complementing the scientific and metaphysical explanation. However, there arises another significant concern about the completeness of this integrated paradigm too. That is, it does not recognize any purpose of creation and existence. Modern science and metaphysics fail to be truly comprehensive as they fail to identify any inherent purpose in the world. Modern scientific inquiries operate within a framework of causality and empirical substantiation, rejecting teleological explanations that imply an ultimate purpose or meaning behind existence. This framework is limited to structural and explanatory models, even when supplemented by metaphysical speculation. Wilbur, in his book, The First 3 Minutes, A Modern View of the Origin of Universe, too emphasizes the importance of an ethical perspective ethical, ethical, and spiritual aspects of existence. The Buddhist philosophy, which is predominantly ethical in nature, thus comes to rescue. In Buddhism, cosmology has been undermined for a long time due to Gautama's reluctance to undertake such inquiries. Gautama categorized many cosmological questions such as whether the world is finite or infinite, whether it is eternal or non-eternal, as indeterminate questions and avoided answering them. However, his teaching implicitly carried a wide range of ideas that later scholars utilized to frame a comprehensive cosmological model. With the evolution of Buddhist thought, different schools of the system emerged, each offering their view of cosmology. This paper, however, mainly focuses on the yin yang perspective, which is one of the most which is the earliest school of the system. Buddhist cosmology is a system of Indian tradition that emphasizes practical wisdom and the pursuit of enlightenment. It believes in the cyclic nature of the universe, where beings transmigrate from one world to another according to their karma. The universe in Buddhist cosmology consists of 3 rings: the Kama Dhatu, the Rup Dhatu, and the Arup Dhatu, which is the Kama Dhatu is the realm of desire, the Rup Dhatu is the realm of form, and the Arup Dhatu is the realm of formlessness. See, okay? All existence belongs to these rings, which form the basis of Buddhist cosmology. The Kama Dhatu is the lowest range of sensual desires and cravings and marked by 5 kinds of existence, which are God, human beings, animals, spirits of the dead, and inhabitants of the hell. These states are arranged in ascending order again, which are ultimately to be transcended for a better realm of existence. The domain of form is inhabited by those who have transcended all sensual cravings by means of their karma and hence possess just physical body. This realm is the domain of Dhyan practitioner and is subsequently divided into four levels of dhyana in ascending order. The first three dhyana each consists of three heavens, while the fourth level comprises eight heavens. Similar to the dhyan itself, the heavens of each dhyan are arranged in the ascending order, ultimately leading to the final level of the fourth dhyana, where the inhabitant finally transcends all sort of physical form. The next realm, the realm of formlessness, is the highest of all and transcends all physical existences. According to Abhidharma Kosh, this realm is beyond space and consists of those who possess only soul and no spirit and no physical body, I guess. In this realm, beings no longer have physical material bodies, there is only spirit and no form remains. The realm of formlessness has different levels for samadhi, which are four in number and mentioned again in increasing order. These are Akash, Ananta Ayatan, that is the sphere of infinite space, Vigyan, Ananta Ayatan, that is the sphere of infinite consciousness, Akinch Ayatan, which is a sphere of nothingness, and Nav Sangya, Na Sangya Ayatan, that is a sphere of neither perception nor non-perception. After obtaining the fourth samadhi, one transcends all realm of existence and thereby attains nirvana, which is therefore the realm of Buddha, which is beyond all three realms of existence. Buddhist cosmology is characterized by a moral and ethical compulsion, viewing existence as a concrete reality rather than metaphysical or mechanical event. The objective is to transcend empirical existence to attain the state of perfect serenity and liberation known as nirvana. The world is constructed to provide an opportunity for moral and ethical advancement determined by one's own karma. The various realms of the universe, spanning from hell to heaven, provide a platform for the execution of moral actions, facilitating spiritual growth. Buddhism explains Buddhism explains the existential why of the universe by giving it a purpose, the goal of ongoing moral and ethical development. The universe is not an end in itself, but a means of moral elevation, concluding in emancipation. By bringing together Buddhist idea and cosmology, a purpose-driven understanding of the universe can be offered, viewing it as an active space for moral growth. How much time do I have? Okay, this time concluding. A comprehensive cosmology is not a rigid model of physical laws, metaphysical principles, or ethical values. It has enough room for incorporating all aspects of existence. Science has the potential to explain complex physical events, but it has nothing to say about concepts such as consciousness, morality, and purpose. And understanding of these concepts can only be developed within a metaphysical and ethical framework. So what I really emphasize through my study is three main points. First, we must reorganize, sorry, first we must recognize the limits of scientific cosmology. It is not wrong, it is just incomplete. Secondly, we need a pluralistic cosmology, one that honors empirical science but also opens itself to metaphysical depth and ethical insight. Indian philosophical systems provide a powerful model for this integration. They remind us that the cosmos is not just a place we observe, but a reality we participate in ethically, spiritually, and metaphysically. And finally, we need to cultivate what I call a cosmic humility, a recognition that the universe is vast not only in space and time, but in meaning too. Our task then is not just to measure the stars, but to understand what kind of beings we must become in their life. In conclusion, I would like to assert that the quest for cosmology must go beyond equations and telescopes. It must be a quest for ethical orientation and metaphysical insight. Indian philosophical traditions like that of Vedanta and Buddhism show us how this is possible. They offer a vision of the universe where knowledge leads to responsibility and understanding leads to transformation. Thank you.